tonight, we revisit one of the most heartbreaking and heroic love stories ever told. It's a moment frozen in the dark, icy waters of history, where a young man named Jack risked everything to save the woman he loved. This is the story of how Jack saved Rose when the Titanic sank. It was just before midnight when the grand ship scraped against the iceberg. For most passengers, it was just a slight shudder, a minor disturbance in their journey. But for Jack Dawson and Rose DeWitt Bukater, it was the chilling premonition that something was terribly wrong. Jack didn't hesitate. He didn't wait for orders from the crew. He grabbed Rose's hand, his eyes telling her everything she needed to know. We need to move. Now, he knew, with a certainty that defied logic, that time was running out. He guided her through the ship's lavish hallways, which were quickly becoming freezing, watery mazes, pushing past terrified crowds who were just beginning to realize the scale of the disaster. On the top deck, absolute chaos had erupted. The sounds of shouting and the deep groaning creaks of the dying ship filled the air. Families were being torn apart in the desperate scramble for safety. Lifeboats were filling up fast, but a cruel reality set in. Only women and children were being allowed to board. As Rose was pushed toward a lifeboat, she clung to Jack, her voice filled with panic. "I'm not leaving you." But Jack, in a selfless act of love, put her life before his own. He looked at her, his voice firm but trembling with emotion. "Rose, you're going. You're getting on that boat. You're going to live." He was ready to let her go, to ensure her survival. But in a stunning act of defiance, Rose chose love over safety. She jumped from the lifeboat, back onto the sinking ship. Back to him. As the Titanic's stern rose dramatically into the black, starless sky, Jack and Rose fought their way to the very back of the ship. The colossal ship began to split in two right beneath their feet. Amidst the deafening groan of tortured metal, Jack held her tight and screamed, "Hold on to me." And with one final, terrifying plunge, they were swallowed by the freezing Atlantic Ocean. The water was brutally cold, a shock so intense it stole the breath from their lungs. Jack, treading water and fighting the immediate effects of hypothermia, searched desperately through the dark for anything that could save them. He found it a large wooden panel, a piece of the ship's beautiful interior. Now, a potential life raft floating among the wreckage. "Climb on, Rose," he urged her, his voice strained. "You're going to be okay." He used the last of his strength to lift her onto the panel, knowing full well there wasn't enough room for both of them to stay out of the deadly water. As his own body began to freeze, his spirit burned brighter than ever. He whispered to her, his words a lifeline in the darkness. "You're going to survive. You're going to make it. Don't give up." Rose held his freezing hands, feeling his life force fade away. But she refused to let go of the hope he had given her. Hours later, a lone rescue boat made its way back, its crew calling out into the deathly quiet field of ice and bodies. Rose heard their faint voices, a distant glimmer of hope, but she was too weak from the cold to shout back. It was in this final moment that Jack's sacrifice fulfilled its purpose. His final breath, his final ounce of strength, was spent ensuring she would have this chance. Remembering his promise, Rose whispered to his lifeless form, "Come back. Come back, ... She found a whistle on a frozen officer floating nearby and, with every last bit of will she had left, she blew. That piercing sound cut through the silence and saved her life. A sound made possible because Jack believed in her, right until the very end. Jack Dawson may not have survived that night, but in every way that mattered, he saved Rose. He didn't just save her from the icy water, he saved her future, ignited her courage, and gave her a story to tell. A story of love and sacrifice that the world will never ever forget. Thanks for watching.